The following film is a work of fiction. Though the film takes place in the city of Milwaukee and includes various references to both the city and to the state of Wisconsin, any similarities to persons living or dead is purely coincidental.
More great music coming your way. Next up, we've got Nambla Boys with that George Michael remake, Father Figure. So don't go away. This is WDIM Milwaukee. Bitch, I love you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. You're the only hope for me.
Join me here every Saturday night for the funniest new game show, Wisconsin Redneck Dating Game.
Yaw there, hey, Bachelorette number one. If I try to sneak a little nookie on our first date, what would you say? Okie dokie there, ya. Bachelorette number two, what about you?
Present a special rebroadcast of Milwaukee Beat. Ed Gein, Jeffrey Dahmer, two of the most notorious names in the annals of crime. Depraved deviates, multiple murderers, Wisconsin residents. Tonight we add a new name to that infamous list, the Milwaukee Torso Killer. For 18 agonizing months, Milwaukee has lived in the grip of fear. A serial killer has stalked our streets, claiming 14 victims, men, women, and children, leaving behind his grisly calling card, the torsos of his victims. What kind of fiend is capable of such brutality? What kind of monster could kill with such savagery? What kind of beast is roaming our beautiful streets and slaughtering our citizens? When will he strike again? Is anyone safe? These are some of the terrifying questions we'll be asking this evening. But first, we've got that Packer update.
N-I-G-G-A, motherfucker. N-I-G-G-A, motherfucker. I'm a nigga, more nigga than you figure. You fuck with me and I'll pull my trigger. I'm a nigga, dumb like a motherfucker. Can't spell cat, but while it be fat, I'm a nigga, more nigga than you figure. Keep plenty hoes, your mama knows I'm a nigga. You can't deal with that? Kiss my ass, motherfucker. Deal with my gat. Here comes Milwaukee's finest. I'd better pull over and I'll just come to a stop. Empty this clip in a Keystone Cop. Don't fuck with a nigga unless you wanna sleep. 6 feet deep, motherfucker.
My first guest is the man leading the investigation, Milwaukee Chief of Police, Carter James. Chief, what's happening with the investigation?
We're following every possible lead, every scrap of information. No stone is going unturned. It's important for the city of Milwaukee to understand that these kinds of cases are never easy. These are random acts of violence. Serial murders are very difficult, but we're committed to solving these crimes. Milwaukee is a great place, and we're not about to let serial killers spoil our great city.
Chief, you are aware that certain segments of the population have been highly critical of the investigation.
It's impossible to please everyone all the time. That's to be expected.
Yes, well, many people have suggested that the Milwaukee Police Department tends to respond differently to different parts of the community. It's been suggested that if the killings had occurred in a different part of the city and had involved a different class of citizen, then maybe the case might have been solved by now. If nothing else, there'd be more substantial evidence to report.
That's ridiculous. The Milwaukee Police Department responds the same way to all residents, and to suggest otherwise is an insult to all of our officers. These murders have heightened the stress level in the city, and this is understandable. Still, we can't let emotions cloud the issue. The Milwaukee Police Department is one of the finest departments in the country, in the world. We're famous for...
Ugh. Wow. Yo, hemorrhoids burning you up? Ugh. Pain? Wow. Itch? Ugh. Huh. Well, you better take a tip from the Godfather. Let new Breeze blow out the flame. Ugh. Breeze goes straight to the source. Wow. Susan coos. Takes the sting out of the sphincter. And the handy applicator takes away all the guesswork. Just pop in new Breeze and get back on the good foot. Wow. You'll be doing the splits like the man himself. So put out the fire. Bend over for Breeze.
My next guest is Nate Turner, host of the talk radio show Northside Flavor. Nate, what do you think of the investigation? It's important to remember that the murder victims didn't come from Fox Point or Brookfield or Whitefish Bay. They came from the bowels of Milwaukee society. Prostitutes, gays, blacks, Hispanics, the fringe, if you will. Milwaukee may be famous for beers, brats, and the Packers, but it's also famous for being one of the most racist cities in the nation. And this case only exemplifies that fact. This is more than a murder case. It's a metaphor. For years, this racist city has been feeding on its underclass, just like the torso killer. The governor, the mayor, the mass media, the Milwaukee Police Department, they all got blood on their hands.
To blame our wonderful city for these crimes is an outrage. The last thing we need now are rebel-rousing instigators stirring up unnecessary controversy.
It's nice you pulled your head out of the mayor's ass long enough to be here tonight, but you're wasting our time.
I've heard enough of this nonsense. There's a killer on the loose in Milwaukee, and we're going to get him. We're going to handle this thing.
Handle this thing? If the killer were a donut, the Milwaukee Police Department would have found her by now.
We've constructed a profile of the killer. It's obvious that the killer is extremely bright. So like most serial killers, it's safe to assume that we're dealing with a Caucasian. It's also safe to assume that...
Wait a minute. What's that supposed to mean? It's safe to assume we're dealing with a Caucasian. You seem to be implying that black people aren't intelligent enough to be serial killers.
Well, I certainly didn't mean to imply that blacks weren't intelligent enough to be
We're
serial
as
killers.
capable of senseless slaughter as any white person. What makes you think we lack the intelligence to be deranged? You think we're only capable of holding up open pantries and immigrant grocery stores? This is the kind of racism I was just talking about. We can be just as fiendish as any white person. All we've ever asked for is the opportunity. But this racist society is always trying to hold us back. Let me tell you something. There's plenty of black serial killers, but the white-owned corporate media structure doesn't want the community to know about it. Drive-bys, carjackings, liquor store holdups, only the stereotypical crimes get reported in this town, as if those were the only crimes that we as a people were capable of committing. There's plenty of black serial killers out there right now, roaming the streets, honing their craft, but it'll never get reported because a black man has to work twice as hard as a white man to get the same respect. Everybody knows that. Rodney King Malt Liquor Beer. It's the taste sensation that's jacking the nation. Rich, full-body flavor, but with a kick that will whoop that ass. You'll feel like you've been worked over by the LAPD. And isn't that what you want from your malt liquor? Perfect with big-ass blunts and bitches like it too. What are you waiting for? Bust out one of them cold ones. It's time for Rodney King Malt Liquor Beer.
Are you considering a career in law enforcement? Why, in just a few short weeks, you can have a firearm, an automobile, and the power over life and death right in your own community. No other career offers you so much in so little time. So, if you're in good health, never been convicted of a felony, and possess an IQ sufficiently low enough...
My last guest is Mahatma Kane from the Wisconsin Center for Public Enlightenment. Mahatma, your organization has been exploring the murders for the last few months, and you've come up with some fascinating conclusions. Isn't that correct?
Yes, Mick, that's correct. The Wisconsin Center for Public Enlightenment is an independent group of academics, intellectuals, and businessmen who examine the pertinent issues of the day in an effort to better illuminate society's problems and ultimately provide solutions. We've concluded that while serial killings are somewhat of a nuisance, they are indeed a vital and necessary byproduct of modern industrial society. Consider for a moment the animal kingdom. Predators perform an invaluable function in the ebb and flow of everyday existence. Without predators, the ecosystem is thrown into chaos, causing a wide variety of calamities. We must all face the fact that our once great cities are now overflowing with human garbage who will never fit in with the rest of us, let alone make any sort of meaningful contribution to society. Such individuals are hopelessly sick, much like the carriers of the deadly plague in medieval times. We at the Wisconsin Center for Public Enlightenment have concluded that, contrary to popular opinion, serial killers are in fact beneficial in that they help eliminate the diseased aspects of society. Serial killers restore a sense of equilibrium to society. As humankind evolves and becomes more enlightened, we at the Center hope that people will come to appreciate the important part that serial killers play in the natural order of things. We need them. And quite frankly, I'd hate to imagine modern life without them. I have no doubt that one day the torso killer will be caught. Hopefully, another will soon take his place, and the regenerative, restorative cycle of life can continue unhindered. Milwaukee really is a great place.
Well, Mahatma, we certainly appreciate your coming and putting everything into proper perspective for us. Sometimes we're far too quick to criticize things we don't understand. We have a lot to be thankful for in the city. Good food, good beer, the Green Bay Packers, and apparently we also need to be thankful for some unknown person quietly fulfilling his meaningful function in life. That's it for Milwaukee Beat. This is Mick Taylor. Good night.